All right, guys. Next episode on Fix It Friday, we're going to be talking about correcting some beginner mistakes every Friday. So last week we talked about a mount escape. We're going to talk about another idea from the mount here too. So I got a student, you're watching the clip coming up in a minute, very, very explosive hips, and oftentimes his mount escapes become very inefficient just because he's so used to bucking people off him, okay? Now the challenge with that is if you're just bucking people off you, especially beginners, it's going to be very difficult to incentivize good technique if all you're doing is exploding out of bad positions, okay? So in the video, Bryson was on the ground, so Cameron's going to simulate the role of Bryson here. Cameron was on top in the mount position. I think he had a cross face and he had his arm kind of out like this, okay? So the good thing that Bryson did was he made it a point to bridge in the direction of the head. And I'm not sure if Bryson knew that's what he was doing, but yeah, he did because he's subscribed to my private newsletter, link in the bio. But anyway, he managed to bridge in the direction of the head. So that was going in his favor. So what ended up happening was Bryson gave a huge explosive bridge in this direction. He reached his arm out, grabbed the arm, and then bridged here, all right? So he did it so explosively that his leg, one of his legs actually came away came off the ground, okay? And if you want to maintain maximal power, then you have to make sure that your foot stays in contact with the ground. So in other words, if I'm going to bridge, I want to make sure that both of my feet stay on the ground. What I don't want to do is do this, because now I'm on one leg, but then everything else is abdominal. Right? It's all my abdomen trying to turn myself in that direction. And that's actually a way that a lot of people hurt their ribs. Is a lot of rib injuries happen because people are twisting explosively. And if I'm not using my legs to get me to bridge, then I'm going to be twisting more through my upper body. Anyway, so we'll come back here, right? So the first mistake, the first mistake that we're going to talk about is the idea of reaching, okay? So if Cameron's got a good post and a crossface here, I don't want to reach, okay? Look, if you watched the last video, always try to find a way to get into this position here where now you're in a more defensive posture. Elbow frames against the hip, you reach here, okay? There are some ways that you can try to bridge somebody off by coming down towards the shoulder and addressing the crossface, but the reality is a lot of my escapes, especially at a higher level, a lot of escapes are going to come right here. At a higher level, it's really hard to bridge people off because people generally get better at maintaining their balance. Now keep in mind, if Cameron's going to try to attack me, he needs one of two things. One, for my elbow to come across my midline, or two, for my elbow to be exposed. So if we're in this position like here, and I reach to try to grab, then what am I immediately doing? I'm exposing my elbow. If I expose my elbow, Cameron can now switch that into an underhook, and now I'm gonna be stuck, but more importantly, he can get his head down, start attacking this arm here, okay? So I never want to reach out here or out here, because every time I start to reach, now he can actually just switch his chest, yep, there, and now my arm is exposed, okay? Now, we talked about the mount escape kind of defensive posture. Again, you don't want to focus on everything up here. I think that's a big mistake a lot of beginners make is they're focused so much on what's going on here and not enough on their chest, okay? So even if I have a solid crossface here, right, and I'm posted out here, if Cameron can just get this defensive posture by getting his his arm on my belt and getting towards his side, like even here, this crossface, I can't use this crossface for much, okay? And then from here, he can start attacking a little elbow escape. Yeah, he can start attacking a little elbow escape. Very difficult for me to defend. As a matter of fact, if I have somebody with the frame right here, I have to do what I can to find my way underneath, right? Or maybe even try to attack to get them to get scared, come back up, which allows me to start attacking this elbow again. So that becomes very difficult for me to deal with when your partner has this kind of defensive posture in the mount position, okay? Now, let's take the other side for a minute, all right? So if I'm this way and I see my partner reaching up towards my arm, okay? So you can always pummel, you can always come back here. Now, the other thing that I can do is if I see my partner reaching up towards this arm and I can tell he's gonna bridge that way, so trap it, I can move my head towards the opposite side. Now once my head's on this side, he tries to bridge, it's very hard. And again, if your partner is very explosive and does it fast, I change the position of my head, I get heavier in my hips. So now if he can try to bridge all he wants. And it's very difficult, okay? The closer my head is towards this side, he tries to bridge, he's gonna be able to do it immediately. So to recap, person on bottom, don't be reaching up for arms. It's gonna make things a lot worse for you in the grand scheme of things. Focus more on getting into a defensive posture on the hip. Person on top, if you know your partner's trying to bridge to the right by reaching out, try to pummel, get underneath the arm, or in the very least, just sink in your hips and move your head towards the opposite side of the bridge. And very often you'll find it's gonna be a lot easier for you to maintain your balance from the top position. So hope you guys enjoyed. Again, like, subscribe, comment, leave a comment in the comments. If you have any questions or things we can fix for you, just go ahead and leave them there and we'll go ahead and take care of it.